Hi friends, I am stopped like impromptu, just kind of in the heat of these moments. Not a destructive heat, but like a warm heat. Um, and I just wanted to talk about something as I am helping myself process it, something that just happened, and sharing my thoughts and feelings on it. And I also need to process it, but I thought talking about it a little bit could help me also. And I'd like to remember this in the future. So I wanted to make a video of it and hopefully ends up helping someone out there also. But I just went to meet a dog with a client at a client's home. I had never met either of them before. And I didn't ask many questions before setting up the meet and greet. I just saw it's $2,000 for 3 weeks of a house sit, and I need money. And when I was there, the dog was very anxious, and I'm used to that, but it was the kind of anxious where the dog responds with aggression, with trying to bite, with actually biting. It was a little chihuahua, and for I'm not sure how long, maybe about 30 minutes, I tried to get the dog to feel comfortable with me. It might have been longer. I wasn't watching the time. Oh yeah, it was longer. I was there for over an hour. But the dog did come up and bite me a few times, lightly, but in the past I would have told myself, like, I am in a desperate survival situation. I have to get this money. I have to get this booking. And I would have been like, I want to try to be what this client needs. And I would have forced myself to agree to, try to see the dog again, try to help it feel comfortable around me again, even though while I was there, I felt trauma responses in my body. I felt, I just noticed that when the dog was, it would run up when I would try to like take steps in the room, it would run up behind me and bite my ankles. And I was having trauma responses that reminded me of like when I was homeless. I would have the freeze response, high management under pressure, managing my emotions, having it be stifled. Like, I'm very skilled in stilling myself in emergency situations and telling myself, like, it's gonna be okay, like, I just need more patience, it's not that bad. And then over time, being there, the dog continuing to do that, and me just not feeling comfortable by the way that the people interacted with the dog, and not demonizing them, but knowing it's kind of like a cultural difference, just in the fact of like what we are used to, what is our standard of normal regarding communication and stress and things like that. I noticed that I kept on, I was able to remember the whole time, like, I'm here with myself. I haven't abandoned myself, and I was able to see it as like I am not in a survival situation where I have to force things to work. I was able to keep on remembering, like, ultimately, like, my thoughts and feelings are what matter the most. And I don't need to use shame against myself for not being able to be what these people needed. And the dog's mom did say that normally the dog isn't that aggressive with people, and the dog needs people to be like firmer. She used the word more dominant, more, I don't remember what other words she used. But I think in the past I might have shamed myself and said like, oh, like I need to force myself to play a different role to this dog. But for me, I'm just like, I'm not going to play that game with a dog or a person where I need to be, in order to keep a situation, I have to be using force against them, like high manipulation when I am under supported myself, and to where like the only way I would be able to be safe with the dog is if I'm like scaring the dog in return, kind of thing, which is, she said I need to be more dominant to the dog and say, she didn't say what I should say, but I'm assuming she meant saying like no or trying to be like intimidating or something. And I did tell her, you know what, at first I started to say, maybe we could, that I am concerned with him not feeling safe with me, and I need dogs to feel safe with me so they're not stressed while their parents are gone. That's for my good and their good. But I sorry, I think my stress level is just such that my mind blanked for a minute. But I was thinking maybe I could I told her maybe I could keep on visiting the dog and get the dog comfortable with me over time. But as I kept on being there, I kept on feeling in my body that and she said that it's kind of a part of the dog's personality, that the dog will chase people, the dog will, people are scared of the dog. The dog isn't a people person except for their parents, the dog's parents who live with the carers that that the dog lives with, or people, I guess, who have the right personality. And I was feeling in my body like afraid to move around and ungrounded. And throughout the time when the dog kept on, it's kind of funny, it affects me, but I know it's just stress. And based on a lot of different things in my life over time, that has compounded to become this emotional reaction. But when the dog would come up to me and nip me, I was having to fight back tears. And I was able to do it, but it was so much masking and suppressing and not reacting, because the only way I could see to react honestly was to remove myself from the situation instantly. But I was thinking, let's give it more time. I don't want to overreact. And it's not within my personality, not the right role for me to play, to where I have to be, invoking fear in a person or an animal or whatever in order to maintain my own safety. But so, and I appreciate there's people that is compatible for them, and that's the role that they're meant to play, So eventually I just kept on feeling things in my body, and I told the dog's mom that that I was having concerns, that I felt like I couldn't move around, and I was having concerns because she did say that the dog it's a part of the dog's personality to like chase people and try to bite at them. And I also acknowledged to her that, she was kind of reassuring me, like, she thinks it'll be good, she thinks it'll be fine. And I acknowledged that she said that there's not really enough of a track record that she has for her to really be certain of how her dog will be, to give me certainty. Because she said that they had one house sitter before, but the house sitter didn't tell her what things were like to warm up with the dog. The house sitter just said, the dog is great, the dog is safe, and they didn't really get. And she assumes everything was fine, but she doesn't really know for sure. And she said that the dog does like bite her relatives when they come over. But so I listened to my gut, and I told her that it's a mismatch of personality, and that I'm I could feel in my body my fear and stress, and it's the dog deserves the very best care, and they deserve help, but I'm not a good fit. And I acknowledged to her also that I should write on my profile, because she found me online on the Rover app. I told her that I will update my profile to be more straightforward about my sensitivities and my skills, and ask more questions. Ask more questions before I set up meet and greets, because I don't want to disappoint clients and have it be like a hardship on the client. I don't want clients to feel bad that they, not that it's my responsibility, and I hope people don't shame or punish themselves for the emotional reactions that I have. But I just want to, of course, try to avoid uncomfortable scenarios as much as possible. But when I was there at their house, I did start to feel trapped. I did start to feel like I was only in my head, like they were just kind of talking around me, and like a kind of going back to that survival mode state of feeling in an emergency. But I was proud of myself that I was able to notice all of this going on while I was still in it, and I was able to decide, not to just tell her like, oh yeah, it's all good, and then leave and then text her and like tell her, sorry, I can't do it. But I was like, I did cry when I was there. I was just very honest, telling her it's my sensitivities and personality mismatch, and like her, like I can see the love and care she has for her dog, and he's a special quirky boy, and he deserves the best care. And I hope in some way that helped to show myself, and maybe help to show them also that I don't know, the honest communication and disappointment can be safe. And I did feel her, when we were there trying to persuade and convince me to play this role that she wanted me to play. And I understand it's because they're going to be on vacation for 3 weeks and they need that. But maybe I can't say or speak for what I hope or think she should do or whatever, because it's not my situation. But I was just proud of myself for staying true to myself, and I was crying and felt stress. I was relieving this stress that I couldn't hold in anymore. But I was really grateful that I didn't turn it into like anger or blaming against myself or other people, or trying to force myself to stay in that situation when I could feel that it wasn't right. And when I was there at their house, part of me was thinking like, catastrophizing, or noticing I was catastrophizing a bit, thinking like, this is $2,000. I need money. How am I ever going to get out of debt? How am I ever going to have a better quality of life? And then a part of me remembered like, oh, wait, the real growth track that I'm on is learning how to honor my thoughts and feelings. And honor myself, it's not about maintaining a lifestyle where I have to force and pressure and coerce myself into surviving in painful circumstances where I don't feel under-resourced. And even when I try to say it's going to be okay, I just feel very stressed and uncomfortable. And I have to have faith that this process is worth it for me. That this process is worth it, and I might lose out on money still for the next couple years or few years or whatever, but over time, it's what will allow me, this way of relating to myself and making decisions, it's what will allow me to find that sustainable source of income that is connected to meaning. And just, I want to live life in tune with my definition of self-care and self-love, and that's changed compared to when I was younger. I have a different definition of what that looks like for me now, and I just want to enjoy being alive and find the ways that I can do powerful, needed things in the world and affect the world and other people in really necessary ways, but doing this in a way that doesn't force violence or coercion or suppression to be the main theme, on which I base my decisions, and I perceive other people and I perceive myself. Like, I don't want to take part in that. Anyway, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts and talk a bit about it a little bit while it's still fresh in my mind and emotions. And I know as I continue to process and integrate what happened, I might have more insights, but at the moment, this is what I have. And I'm proud of myself. I feel like I kind of like passed a level in a way for being really heartfelt. Sorry, my nose is running from crying. But I feel like I kind of passed a level in a sense for being so true to me and true to the people I was with. Like, I was telling her, she was asking how I think and feel, and I was telling her, like, I'm thinking out loud right now. I'm considering two things. Like, on one hand, I want this, and on one hand, I'm concerned of this. And I told her I was like trying to think through and feel through the decision making in real time. But ultimately, I think that's a part of me making decisions. This decision making style, it's a way of making decisions where I'm not asking for somebody's approval, but I'm also not I'm giving people more to work with as far as to understand reflection on their side and understand what's going on with me, and like create like a healthy narrative around it so that there's not like this blame. We don't ask other people or accidentally kind of ask other people, or not ask them, but leave more room in which for people's own traumas to run wild, and for them to blame and punish themselves or to blame and punish us, and to show like we don't feel shame or punishment towards ourselves. There's no villain here. That's kind of what I was trying to communicate, that I was saying it out loud. Like, they matter, they're good, I matter, I'm good. And that feels good to me rather than just, totally exiting the situation and just being like really hard with boundaries, just like no and no talking. So, yeah, that's something that happened. And I should probably go now because I can tell my mind is really tired. But anyway, okay. Take care. Bye.